So we're all here for transitions tonight. So transitions from home to preschool is one of the most important milestones in a child's early life. Since the introduction of the ECCE programme, there are now more than 96% of children each year attending the ECCE programme, so attending early childhood settings. And as you know, and you're well aware, since the addition of the second preschool year back in 2016, there's even more children attending our setting now at younger ages, especially if you're in ECCE only settings. So for some of these children, the transition's seamless. They walk in on day one full of excitement, full of confidence. Whereas for others, they can feel a little bit overwhelming, and a little bit of additional planning and additional support might be required. So I suppose through programs like the Access and Inclusion model, we are better equipped to ensure that every child has the opportunity to thrive and to feel included and to fully participate. And I suppose that's what we really want. We want each child to meaningfully participate within preschool and within our early childhood settings. So that goes for our babies, toddlers, young children and school age childcare. So we hope that in tonight's webinar, we will give you some practical strategies, some fresh perspectives and some ideas to support all children during this transition. And I suppose while we're focusing on that preschool transition, a lot of our strategies that we're given tonight can be used for your babies and toddlers as well, and even thinking to May for that transition onto preschool, onto primary school as well. So just keep that in the back of your mind while we are focused on preschool tonight. These strategies can be adapted. So hopefully you will leave tonight's webinar with lots of useful tools that you can bring back to your setting and that you can have confidence in supporting families and children through this pivotal stage and pivotal transition. So without further ado, I am going to hand over to Claire O'Shea first. So over to you, Claire.
Thank you, Claire. Hello, everybody, and you are all so very welcome to this evening's webinar. So as Claire has said, our webinar this evening is called Successful Beginnings Start with Little Steps, Strategies to Support Transitions to Preschool. And as Claire said, my name is Claire, and together with my colleague Louise, we will be presenting this evening's webinar. So we're going to start with a short reflective activity. So take a moment to think about a time when you were starting a new job. Take a moment to think about what feelings you associated with that time. So you don't need to share anything into the chat bar now, but just have a moment to reflect on how you felt when you started a new job. Okay, so I'm sure some of you came up with these feelings yourself, but we've put together a list here that include anticipation, hopefulness, fear of the unknown, being stressed, excitement, enthusiasm, the challenge, the uncertainty, maybe you were a bit bewildered, nervousness, a fear of making mistakes, lack of control over the situation, we have self-doubt, and we have anxiety. So as an adult, we are able to understand and rationalize the experience. We know why we are taking on the job. But if we put ourselves into the shoes of the children starting in our setting, we are able to reflect on the mix of emotions and feelings they are associating with change and transitions. And maybe you can reflect back on when you were young and you were being cared for outside of the home. Do you remember feeling anxious or uncertain maybe, or possibly a fear you may be abandoned? Maybe you're excited or curious. But how much did you understand about what was happening? How much control did you have? So with that in mind, we have to remember that often the baby, the toddler, or the young child is the only person who doesn't understand why they're in the setting. So tonight within this presentation, we are going to look at how we can support a child-centered transition to help to reduce some of the worries some children may be experiencing. So to set the scene then, let's get started with a quick explanation of transitions. A transition is the process of moving from one situation to another and taking time to adjust. The word process here is really, really important. We know that transitions take time and they are not a one-off event. So we have a horizontal transition, which is the daily transitions which take place in your setting or moving from room to room. And we have vertical transitions, and this is moving to a new setting or school environment, such as moving from home to preschool or preschool to primary school. And this transition from home to preschool is considered a major transition in a child's life. Transitions can also be zigzag, for example, if your setting has school-age childcare. So if we look within Ashter then, transitions are pivotal in ensuring progression in learning and development, and continuity of experiences requires consistent relationships. This includes a particular emphasis on the role of the key person and on slow relational pedagogy. Additionally, supporting transitions also requires shared responsibility between families, childminders, educators, settings and schools in the best interest of the baby, toddler and young child. Now, as you can see from this slide, when it comes to policies, Síolta, Ashter, TUSLA and the Department of Education and Youth Early Years Education Focused Inspections, they all appreciate the importance of transitions. And within our own LINC competency framework, it discusses transitions to, within and from the setting as being a positive experience for children, families and staff. So when we're preparing for transitions, there are a wide variety of strategies we can use, but at the heart of every one of them should be the child. That means using a truly child-centered approach where educators, parents and the environment all work together to support the transition process. So over the coming slides, we will discuss some key strategies by those most directly involved. You have the educators, the parents, and the environment. But we know in practice that they all overlap and must connect around the child. So first tonight, I'm going to start by looking at how the educator can support the child before they start with the ECCE setting. So I have a number of strategies coming up, so this is where your pen and paper might come in useful. Okay, so each setting should have a parental handbook which contains essential information about the setting along with policies and procedures. The handbook should be clear, welcoming and available before the child starts in the setting. In considering inclusivity, the handbook should be translated into different languages. And if you have a look around Microsoft Word, you will find a tool to help you with this. And also an audio version available if required. And once again, Microsoft Word may help you with this here as well. The handbook could include information about your setting, the curriculum used and curriculum statement if you have one, details of your child-centered approach, fees, collections, attendance and sickness policies, information on AIM and other supports in your local areas, and how your setting supports children's needs and promotes positive behaviours. You could also put in policies such as your settling in policy. Now, if you don't have a parental handbook in your setting just yet, it is worth considering creating one, as it does help to set out clear expectations, can support communication and can help with relationship building between parents and the setting. Another strategy that you could have is to host a parents' information evening or a parents' meeting. And you would do this before the children start. So a parents' evening would have multiple benefits. It's a good opportunity for parents and educators to meet. It's an opportunity for managers and educators to share key information, such as information about the setting and ethos, information on the team, information on AIM, parents' handbooks and policies and procedures. It is a good time to share your curriculum and curriculum statement with the parents, along with practical items such as having a sample lunch ready to show them what to put into their child's lunchbox. And it's also a good networking opportunity for parents to get to know other parents. So that's your parents' information evening. So another strategy you could implement is providing a welcome pack. And so a welcome pack is warm and welcoming in tone. It could be in a small folder, which can include a welcome letter from the manager of the setting and the educators. Print out of the curriculum statement and setting ethos and vision could be popped into it. You could pop in your parental handbook, the daily routine of the setting as well, along with staff profiles and contact information. You can pop in there some the health and safety information. It should also include practical details such as what children need to bring each day, labelling items and enrolment forms. And you could also include information on partnership with parents, tips to support transitions and opportunities for parents to get involved, along with your calendar for the year. And information flyers on AIM should also be included in this pack. Another good idea is to have an information booklet for children. So this is a personalized story which can help children to understand new experiences or situations. It creates a sense of familiarity. It is a simple visual story showing what a typical preschool day looks like. You could make your own, or you could use a template and make sure that the images are real and true to your setting. It can include images such as the outside of the building, the entrance place, the place where children hang up their coats and belongings, the preschool room, the educators, the outdoor environments, and also the toilets. Now, Better Start have a template for social stories available on their website, which you could use, and we will share this in a link in the follow-up email, so you can have a look at that after the session. The social story of your preschool then can be shared in advance with the parents so that they can spend time going through it with their child. You can provide a physical printed version of the social story and give this to the parents during initial meetings, or you could also email it to the parents so that they have a digital version to share with their children. Now, I do love this idea. And this strategy is to post a postcard to each new child starting in the setting. So this really lovely idea, and the postcard can be addressed to the child and contains a short greeting for the child, welcoming them to the setting. This strategy can help both the child and family to feel valued members of your setting and to help to create a sense of belonging. So a very simple idea, but very effective as well from the point of view of producing kind of value, that feeling of being valued. Another idea is to make an introduction video. So this simple strategy is where the educators who will be working in the room send a welcome video to each child. Educators should use the child's name to greet them and perhaps mention one of the child's interests that was on the All About Me form. This video should be shared with the parents before the child starts so that the child has time to become familiar with the educators. You could also host a summer camp. So this is a great stepping stone before starting preschool because it gives children the chance to build social skills by playing and interacting with other children their age. It introduces them to the kinds of routines they will experience in preschool, such as group time, snack breaks, and organised play, which helps them feel more familiar and comfortable when preschool begins. It also gives children a gentle way to practice being apart from their caregivers, which can ease separation anxiety for both the child and the parent. As they get used to new environments and people, they start to build confidence and feel more secure in trying new things. Finally, summer camp encourages early independence through everyday tasks like hand washing or cleaning up, helping children feel capable and ready for what comes next. Okay, so I've given you a number of strategies there for supporting the children's transition before they start preschool. So you might want to take a moment now to pause for reflection and take a think for yourselves as to, do you implement any of these strategies already? Or could you use some of these strategies within your setting? You don't need to type anything into the chat box, just have a think for yourself and we'll take a pause for you. So next we'll move on and we are going to look at how we can work with parents before the child starts. So we all know how important setting foundations of working in partnership with parents are. There should be regular communication with families before the child starts in the setting, and this can help to support consistency between home and the setting and to build trust and shared responsibilities. Sharing routines and expectations in the welcome pack helps ease transitions and creates a sense of familiarity for the child. Providing visuals, like your daily schedules, supports both children and families in knowing what to expect. Families can be invited to share their home routines, calming strategies, or transition rituals. And this can help personalize the approach. Educators can also co-develop routines with families to ensure that they respect cultural practices and supports a more holistic child-centered environment. Educators should also incorporate home languages into the setting, which fosters identity and inclusion, especially in everyday routines. Now, we've mentioned the All About Me forums, so let's take a look at them here. Parents should complete an All About Me information sheet or form for their child ahead of their child starting in preschool. So this All About Me form is a profile of the child. It can have questions such as the child's name, how they would describe their child, what is their child's favorite thing, some of their strengths, some areas they need help with, or concerns parents may have. And we must remember that this form shouldn't be static. So it should be used to help set up the preschool environment and revisited on a termly basis when the child's strengths, interests, and needs may have changed. So here we have a little poll. So this poll is asking you, are many of you aware of the My Inclusion Plan? So I think somebody on the team is about to pop a link into the chat box. Claire is nodding at me. So if you look into the chat box, you can click on the link and the Mentimeter will come up and you can click yes or no to the question. Or alternatively, you can scan your phone quickly into on the QR code here on the screen, and that'll also lead you to the question. Okay, so I can see a trend forming from your responses coming in. Nearly 100 of them have come in, and it's great to see that about 80% of you are familiar or aware of the My Inclusion Plan, which is fantastic. But for those who aren't, or for those who are aware of it but haven't used it yet, I shall run through it with you. So a My Inclusion Plan is created in collaboration with parents, managers, inclusion coordinators, and Better Start specialists to support children in preschool. Now, it is specifically for children in receipt of AIM support, but all children and families can use a My Inclusion Plan. Part 3 of the plan encourages reflection on transitions before the child starts in the setting, while Part 4 looks at the voice of the child and notes the child's strengths, communication, interests, what they need support with, and how they can be supported. Now, if you do have a child or children starting in your setting in receipt of AIM and there is not currently a My Inclusion Plan in place, perhaps note to meet with parents this week to put a plan in place. And if you have an INCO or an inclusion coordinator in your setting, they can support you with this. I will be handing over to Louise in just a second, but first, seeing as we have mentioned the inclusion coordinator which within the previous slides, we felt it was important for us to mention their role within our presentation tonight. So as part of their studies on the LINC programme, INCOs learn about supporting transitions. They are encouraged to share this information along with information on AIM with their team. Inclusion coordinators can work with their managers and parents in completing access and inclusion profiles, which are required to apply for targeted supports through the access and inclusion model. Inclusion coordinators can then work with Better Start to develop strategies to support the participation of all children in the setting and work with other professionals if more targeted support is required. And finally, inclusion coordinators also work within their settings to lead inclusive culture, practice and pedagogy. So that's my part of this evening completed. I am going to hand you over to Louise.
We are now going to look at how the environment supports the transition process. So supporting transitions through inclusive design means creating spaces where every child feels safe, confident, and truly part of the group. It's not just about how the room looks, but how the children experience it. So when we include children in arranging or decorating the room, it builds their confidence, independence, and sense of agency. So child-centered design is all about putting the child at the heart of everything we do. Ashton reminds us that children are agentic, competent, and confident learners, which means they are capable of making choices, sharing their ideas, and actively shaping their own learning. So when we follow this approach, we focus on creating inclusive, welcoming environments where children feel a strong sense of identity and belonging. We support their holistic development through play, hands-on experiences, and meaningful interactions. It's not just about the activities. It's about listening to children, valuing their voices, and creating space for them to explore, question, and grow in their own time. Ashton's 4 themes guide us in designing learning experiences that are respectful, empowering, and truly centred on the child. In Ireland, early years services are legally required to have a settling in policy to help children transition smoothly into the setting. This is set out in the Childcare Act. It's also vital that all staff, especially new team members, understand this policy so they can provide consistent support. The TULSA Quality and Regulatory Framework offers helpful guidance to meet these requirements and maintain high standards. Adhering to these policies ensures legal compliance while fostering a warm and inclusive environment for all children and their families. So creating a welcoming and predictable space helps children feel safe and ready to explore. Before the first day, we can set up calm, organised areas that invite play and are easy for all children to access. It's also important to make sure the environment reflects the children, their cultures, families, and interests. Early on, we want to build clear routines and expectations so children know what to expect. And as the days go by, we can observe how the children use the space and adjust it as needed. Cozy corners and visual supports also go a long way in helping children feel comfortable, especially those who may be new to group care or still developing their language skills. One helpful way to support young children as they get ready for preschool is by sharing a short video tour of the environment. This can show the classroom, play areas, cubbies, bathrooms, and outdoor spaces. So basically all the places that they'll spend time. The goal is to take away some of the fear of the unknown. When things feel familiar and predictable, children feel safer and more confident when they start in the preschool. Another great thing about the video is that families can watch it more than once at home. Children often need to see things a few times to feel comfortable, so being able to watch the video several times helps them to prepare for preschool. An accessible and responsive layout means designing a classroom that works for all children. Clear pathways allow children to move freely and safely between areas, and when materials are stored at their level, they can explore and make choices independently, which supports their confidence and autonomy. It's also important to offer a mix of spaces, so some areas for active play, some for quiet moments, and some that support sensory regulation. As children become more comfortable in the environment, we observe how they use the space and we can adjust it as needed. This could mean shifting furniture to support larger group play, or maybe creating a calm corner if children seem overwhelmed. Accessibility should also reflect the diverse needs of children, including mobility challenges, sensory preferences, and cultural considerations. So providing clear settling in routines using visual tools like first and then boards, daily schedules and choice boards help children feel secure and understand what to expect. These can be prepared in advance and they can promote communication, they reduce anxiety, and they minimize challenging behaviors by creating a predictable structure. They also encourage independence and build confidence, especially for children who are developing language skills or adjusting to new environments. So including the voices of children and their families in the design process is essential to create environments and programs that truly meet their needs. When families and children are involved, their unique preferences, cultural backgrounds, and values are respected, which makes the experience more meaningful and relevant. This collaboration builds trust and strengthens relationships between educators and families, promoting a sense of partnership. So listening to families also supports personalised and culturally responsive approaches, helping educators to tailor supports in ways that are most effective. By establishing effective routines, we can create smooth transitions for both children and parents. So over the coming slides, we have some tips to help prepare for that first day of preschool. So we begin by building a morning routine that supports a smooth, calm transition. And this is vital to help babies, toddlers, and young children settle into the setting. This routine starts from the moment they arrive at the door in the morning. With this in mind, we need to consider the environmental aspects and their impact on the child's experience. So imagine you are a 2.5-year-old child. You get out of the car and you are immediately met with lots of children and their parents that you don't know. Everyone is talking, some children may be crying, and you have to wait in line to get to the door of this big new building that you may have only visited once before, and you know you're going to be left there with adults you don't know or don't trust yet. This could potentially be a very overwhelming experience for most children. So with this in mind, perhaps arrival times could be staggered among rooms or even within rooms. Or if you have several rooms in the setting, perhaps you could use different entrances to minimize the volume of people gathering and reduce waiting times. Look at the environment through the child's eyes. Is the entrance hall calming and inviting? Are there welcome signs in the child's home language? Think about the child's experience here. Is the space free from clutter? Are the walls as bare as possible? And what are the noise levels inside the building like? All of these elements provide sensory input for children, so ensure that they are not overwhelmed with unnecessary sensory experiences when they arrive on their first day. Take time to plan how you are going to greet new children when they arrive on their first morning. Is English their first language, or could you learn a welcome phrase in their home language to greet them with? Maybe they use love, or maybe some children like a high five or a hug or just a hello. So begin to establish a greeting ritual with each individual. To help a child feel valued, take a moment to acknowledge something about them and ask a leading question to establish interactions, such as, "Oh, I just love the dinosaurs on your jumper. Do you have a favourite one?" Something that will grab their attention and engage them. Communicating with parents each morning helps to build trusting and respectful relationships. Parents are likely to be apprehensive when their child begins in a new setting, so taking time to greet and talk with them, particularly on that first morning, is vital to help put them at ease. So at this point, you've been in touch with parents and you've used the All About Me forms or the My Inclusion plan to learn about the child. However, the morning handover is so important to see how the child is feeling on that particular day. Things like sleep patterns and morning routines at home can seriously impact a child. When scheduling arrival times on the first day of preschool, ensure that you're allowing enough time to greet and talk with each parent. Again, staggering your arrival times will facilitate this. It's a big milestone for parents when their children start preschool, so ensure all communication is respectful and supportive. Remember, effective communication is two ways and it requires active listening on our part. And also be mindful of GDPR. Ensure that any sensitive conversations are not happening within earshot of other parents. If a parent is upset or has any concerns, try to bring them to a quiet space to ensure that their privacy is maintained. Giving a child a role or task to focus on as part of their morning routine allows them to feel in control and to develop a sense of predictability while nurturing their independence at the same time. This could be some type of signing in activity where maybe they put their photo on an attendance board, or perhaps putting their coat and hook on their own, or coat and bag on their own hook or in their own cubby holes. Providing them with their own labelled personal space for their belongings allows them to feel respected and to develop their sense of belonging in the setting. So as previously mentioned, having a visual schedule in place to help the children anticipate what the day will look like is very beneficial. So have this ready to introduce on the first morning and incorporate it into the arrival routine. This predictability also helps them to feel safe, knowing that what they will do when they arrive each morning. Allowing time and providing support on the first day to introduce this routine is imperative for the child's sense of control. We also need to consider the needs of the individual children about to start in the setting. We previously mentioned the My Inclusion Plan and All About Me forms, and by using these, we can anticipate any supports that a child might need. These forms serve as the voice of the child as seen through the eyes of those that know them best, their caregivers. They can help us understand the child's development to date, including how they communicate, their likes and dislikes, and any identified additional needs. Support through AIM can be applied for in advance if their caregivers have identified any additional needs prior to starting preschool. And please remember, no formal diagnosis is required to apply for AIM support, but having these supports in place on the first day will greatly benefit the child during the transition process. As children begin to settle and feel comfortable, ensure that you continue to observe and reflect on how the transition is progressing. Asher has a lovely reflective cycle that we can use to plan for effective transitions. So it starts with noticing, seeing what matters to the child and respecting their voice. The next step is nurturing, which is about recognizing and affirming learning, and seeing the child's abilities and taking a strengths-based approach to extend their learning. Responding is planning for and extending learning further. So here we are responding to their needs based on the knowledge we have about the child. The last stage is reflecting, which is thinking about and interpreting learning. This includes consulting with colleagues and creating space to acknowledge the child's feelings and really listen to what they need. We can use this reflective cycle to support transitions and to adapt our strategies to meet the ever-evolving needs of the individual child by slowing down and taking our time to observe, reflect, and get to know the children. It is crucial for our educators to carefully manage separation anxiety for children by creating a slow transition process for both the child and the parents. Start with short periods of separation and gradually increase the time apart. For example, you could provide intermittent visits or suggest to the caregivers to practice brief separations outside of the setting to build up the child's independence. Invite the caregivers to come in with the child in the early days of the settling in process and slowly extend or reduce the time spent in the setting each day in line with the child's progress, and reassure parents that their support helps build trust between the child and the educators. One of Asher's principles is slow relational pedagogy, which means really slowing down and being present in the moment, taking time to get to know each of the children and focus on building nurturing relationships through interactions and by providing space for the child to develop at their own unique pace. So this slide shows a lovely illustration with a variety of strategies that can be used to carefully manage separation anxiety for children, most of which we have touched on already, but some additional strategies include maintaining a calm and confident demeanour, which will reassure children during arrival time, providing comfort items or allowing the child to bring in a favourite toy or blanket from home. These transitional items can really offer a sense of security, familiarity and comfort for the child. Ensuring effective communication is used with children as well as adults, and validating and acknowledging children's emotions and feelings, and providing as many opportunities for emotional expression as possible, and advising caregivers to try and avoid prolonging goodbyes at drop-off times, as this can really increase a child's anxiety. A quick, loving and firm goodbye usually works best for all involved. Barnardo's describes the key person approach as a triangle of trust between the child, the parent and the educator. The NCCA outlines that each child has a named person who is primarily responsible for creating a close relationship with the baby, toddler or young child and their family. In accordance with Asher, it is encouraged to allow the child time to form bonds with the adults in the setting prior to assigning the key person. Whenever possible, the child's preferences should be respected and the key person chosen accordingly. Once the child has been assigned the key person, they play a vital role in supporting and continuing smooth transitions. They can do this by ensuring a slow relational pedagogy, which gives the child time to settle comfortably each day into the setting, by building a bond that provides the child with emotional security and individualised support, and by focusing on the child's holistic development. Familiarity with a consistent adult promotes smoother transitions between the home and setting, and it really helps children feel secure in their daily routines. Building in strong family engagement with the sharing of information, home life, and likes and dislikes will further support this triangle of trust. The key person also helps support the emotional readiness of the child by providing them with one-to-one interactions to help foster trust, and with responsive interactions they can respond to children's needs with empathy and care. Supporting inclusive transitions starts with continued professional learning that includes training on inclusion, trauma awareness and transitions, as well as focusing on the well-being of staff. Developing a strong team through team building activities helps create a supportive environment where everyone works together. The inclusion coordinator plays a vital role in leading and guiding inclusive practices throughout the setting. Regular team reflections give staff a chance to share experiences and find ways to improve how transitions are managed. It's important for staff to learn about children's routines at home and adapt their approach to make children feel comfortable and secure. Providing simple tools helps staff keep track of transition plans and reflect on what works best. And finally, involving families in the process ensures that inclusion strategies are personalised and meaningful for each child. So as we approach the end of the webinar, I would like to introduce you to Liam and to invite you to all take part in this case study. So if you have a pen and paper handy, think about suggestions to support Liam and his family before and on his first day in preschool. So Liam is 2 years and 8 months old and has been lovingly cared for at home by his parents and grandmother. Liam is a curious little boy who especially enjoys playing with toy animals. He hasn't had much experience in group settings or with structured routines, and he's very attached to his grandmother. Liam is about to start preschool for the first time. His family is excited about this new chapter, but they are also feeling a little anxious. Liam can become quite upset in unfamiliar environments, and transitions may be challenging for him. So in the chat box, can you write some suggestions as to how we could support Liam and his family before that first day of preschool? Yeah, Nicola, a social story. So creating a social story for Liam to read at home. Yeah. Send a video of the setting, Grace. Visit the preschool with parents. Allow him to bring in a favourite toy. Meet with Liam and his family so Liam can see the preschool. Janice says have an open day, a video, family tree within the classroom. Invite the grandmother in, meet with the family. Pictures of Nana and family. His favourite toy, parental handbook or picture book for Liam of his new setting. Yeah, lots of great suggestions there. We're always suggesting parents to come in during summer holidays just to say hello. Having his favourite toys. And lots of visits being suggested. Invite Granny to read a story. Yeah, that's a good idea actually. Use the parents' information booklet to find out more information about Liam, his likes and dislikes, and allow him to bring in a comforter. I would set up a tuff tray with farm, with soil and a few leaves and animals and invite Granny to stay for an hour. Yeah, have an open day. There's lots of great ideas coming in there and lots of opportunities to involve his grandmother as well. So now let's think about Liam's first day. So can you pop some ideas into the chat box of which strategies could help him feel safe, seen and supported on that first day of preschool? Yeah, we could have a tuff tray with animals, pictures of his family on the family wall, parents with him in the preschool, have pictures of his family. Ask Liam to come in earlier than the other children. Yeah, so staggering your arrival times is great to help children who are struggling with anxiety. Set up a little area for him as he likes to do at home. Staggered drop-offs, have stuffed animals with you at the entrance. Yeah, if we knew what animal he particularly liked, we could have an animal ready. Picture on his coat hook. Have a picture book on hand, tuff tray, let him have a comforter from home. Buddy with older children with similar interests in animals. Yeah, that's a good idea, Margaret, as well. Build up the hours, yeah. So a slow transition process, I think, for Liam would be ideal. Having some of his favorite toys ready. Yeah, comment on what he's wearing. So you're engaging with them. You're trying to grab his attention and engage. Parents with them for a while and have family photo for the family tree so we can see the photo. Lots of great ideas. Movement breaks when he feels a bit anxious. Yeah, that's a great idea. Animals freeze, dance and action songs. Shorter day to stay and invite his grandmother and parents to come in. Yeah. So there's lots of ways we can support him. So again, we can use the All About Me forms to set up play provocations that reflect Liam's interests, which is suggested there with the animals. Have toy animals ready both indoors and outdoors so that he can use it whichever area he's most comfortable in. Encourage a family adult, a grandmother or parent, to stay for part of the day. Assign a key educator to gently build a connection with Liam, and keep transitions soft and flexible with quiet spaces available if needed. So if Liam continues to find the transition difficult, how might we respond with empathy and flexibility? Would Liam benefit maybe from a slower transition plan? Could a familiar adult stay longer during drop-off? What do our observations tell us? Where does Liam feel most comfortable in the setting? Is there an educator that Liam is naturally drawn to that we can assign as his key educator? Could we introduce small group activities to ease social engagement? So if challenges persist, the inclusion coordinator may connect with Liam's family to explore supports through the access and inclusion model. Well, we've covered quite a lot of strategies tonight that would really help a child like Liam settle into the setting as best that we can. Thank you to everyone joining us and participating this evening, and thank you to the LINC team for their work in putting together tonight's